What's up, everybody? Wes Hodkowitz here, joined alongside my colleague at Packers.com, Mike Spofford. Week 11 NFL football Packers preview brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. Mike and I here to preview the Green Bay Packers traveling to East Rutherford, New Jersey to take on the New York Giants, a noon Central start time, a game that can be viewed on Fox this Sunday afternoon. Mike and I will be here for the next 10 to 15 minutes answering all of your questions on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Submit those there. Our social department will submit those here, and I will submit those off that as Mike and I preview the Green Bay Packers heading back out on the road. Before we get into those questions, as we let that sort of marinate a little bit, we did get the Packers injury report about an hour ago. We do know 3 players for the Packers will be questionable for this one. That's Lucas Van Ness, Matthew Golden, and also Savion Williams. Ruled out is Nate Hobbs with a knee injury. Second straight game, Nate Hobbs has missed due to the knee. The Giants side, it's a lot. There was actually, I believe it was 17 guys total on their injury report. 5 have been ruled out. That includes Jackson Dart. That includes Evan Neal. Darius Slayton, one of their top veteran receivers. Kayvon Thibodeau also is out from this one. Their outside linebacker, very talented outside linebacker. Doubtful, Tyler Nubin is a part of that. And then also questionable, Bobby Okereke, and then also Paulson Adebo. It's a lot for the Giants. But as far as the Green Bay Packers are concerned, by all accounts, it's trending in the right direction with Matthew Golden. We'll see where things are at. Lucas Van Ness finally getting back 4 games down due to the foot injury that he sustained on the sack of Joe Flacco. Potentially getting back number 90 would be, I think, huge for this Packers defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been out for a while. He's only been back at practice for a couple of days. If he's good to go, you would imagine there would be a limitation on the snap count, whatever there. But even if Lucas Van Ness can get out there for 10 snaps on Sunday out in Jersey, and then that starts him ramping up to getting back to where he was when I thought he was being a pretty impactful player on this defense early in the season. And if the Packers can add that to the mix with as well as this defense is playing right now, that's good news.
Yeah, and one of the tough blows, too, for Green Bay, that sack that he had of Flacco is probably one of the best ones I think Lucas has had in his young NFL career. It was an impactful play.
Yeah.
Completely beat the left tackle around the corner. And unfortunately, as he explained to us in the locker room today, got his foot stepped on in the middle of that sack, led to a little bit of a hyperextension there. He didn't have to have any procedures, no surgery, but the process of him getting back out on the field took probably a little bit longer than he and both the Packers kind of expected. Looking quickly at the New York Giants, among those bevy of injuries coming out of that game against the Chicago Bears, Jackson Dart suffers a concussion, the 4th time that he's been observed and evaluated for one. I think the 2nd diagnosis this season.
I believe so, yeah.
Brian Daboll fired in the lead up of this thing. Mike Kafka, former NFL quarterback, is now the head coach. And then one of the first moves he did, mentioning that Jameis Winston will be not only the number 2, but in this particular case against the Packers, will be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants.
Yeah, they made Kafka made the adjustment on the quarterback depth chart. I mean, Russell Wilson had come in for Jackson Dart when he left the game in Chicago. The Giants had a lead in the 4th quarter. They let it get away. The Bears got the victory. It got the head coach fired. It got Russell Wilson demoted. And the new interim coach is going with Jameis Winston. Famous Jameis going to get his first start of this season. Last year, I had actually forgotten that he played this much last year.
7 games.
Yeah, 7 starts for the Cleveland Browns last year. But Jameis was Jameis. I mean, he threw 13 touchdown passes in 7 games, which is pretty good. But he also threw 12 interceptions. Right. Very reminiscent of his big 5,000-yard season with the Buccaneers back in 2019 with the 33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. It's how he plays the game, and the Packers have to be ready for anything.
All right. Speaking of being ready for anything, are you ready to answer some questions, Mike Spofford?
I'll do my best.
You are being paid by the Green Bay Packers currently. You will answer questions. We are demanding it of you. All right. We'll start with this one on Facebook. Again, if you want to submit your questions, YouTube, Facebook, X, submit those there, and we will do our best to answer as many of them as we can. This one was from Ben Swanson on Facebook. I know the targets is such a conundrum of conversation, but why does Christian Watson play 56 snaps and only get 4 targets? Can you explain? Care to explain?
That's a very good question. I mean, one, I would say in this last game, Matt LaFleur was definitely dedicated to getting the running game going, to getting Josh Jacobs going, to use that to set up the play action to try to take some shots down the field to guys like Watson. The Packers didn't want to just try to dink and dunk their way down the field against the Eagles, because that's what they tried to do against the Panthers, and they weren't successful scoring enough points that way. So it's one of those things, right? I mean, I know there was one play that I looked at on the film where Watson was open, but Love had already thrown the ball to somebody else for a completion.
Right.
But, it's like that's the way this game goes sometimes. I mean, so do the Packers, in that situation, should the Packers be intentionally targeting Watson more? I mean, you could say that, sure, but at the same time, that's not how Jordan Love plays the game. Jordan Love's game is not force-feeding certain targets. This is not the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams passing offense where you always have a number one on every single route, and he's that guy. That's not how this offense is run, and I don't think you can just instantly morph into that.
Yeah, the other thing I would say, too, I'm glad you brought up the point with the run game. 56 snaps is one thing. How many times are you actually passing the ball? How many dropbacks are intertwined into that? A lot was made, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about Micah Parsons. He didn't have a pressure, or at least a recordable pressure with however Next Gen Stats does it. I mean, he rushed, I think it was 20 times in that game among however many snaps he ended up playing because of how much they were running the ball with Rico Dowdle with Carolina, and then also the difficulty of trying to corral a quarterback that's getting it out almost instantaneously. So all these things that you have to factor into it. But I will say, and I said it on our Packers Unscripted show earlier this week, when you look at the way Christian is performing right now, the way he's stepping up, we all know what type of leader he is, but now that he's really owning that role on the field too, I think we're going to see a lot from number 9 here. And just seeing not only the targets, but what he does with those targets. I thought he had 2 really strong catches last week. The 25-yarder across the middle, to me, is going to be one of the biggest plays I remember from the season so far, because it was 3rd and 10. They needed to move the football. They did it with him.
Yeah.
And then also the 22-yarder off the corner route earlier in that quarter that unfortunately got wiped out by the illegal formation.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say as well, and you're right. I mean, the 22-yard catch that was nullified by the illegal formation. I mean, that was probably the biggest mistake of the game as far as the regrets for the Packers in that one, because that was going to be a first down in the red zone. The score is only 3-0 at the time, and that play gets wiped out. The other thing I will say is, as that game evolved, when it got down to the end in the second half, the Packers were down to Watson and Wicks and Bo Melton as their 3 wide receivers. If you're a defense, you're gonna crank up your coverage on Christian Watson in that instance, and you're going to say, okay, Dontavian Wicks and Bo Melton, if you can win your matchups, go right ahead. So he kind of got taken away, and even in that instance, there was the shot at the deep ball at the end of the game, but you saw the multiple coverage players that were back there for the Eagles. They just weren't going to let something like that happen.
Good point, Michael. This question is over from Paul Pylon 5981. Will the silent count be a significant need on Sunday? Be honest with you, Michael, I haven't watched a ton of Giants football, particularly when they've been playing in the Meadowlands. Maybe you have. I would say in general, silent counts on the road are usually necessary.
Yeah.
I did look at tickets for this game, though. It seems like there's a lot available, and I'm sure there will be a good contingent of Packer fans there too. I guess it's kind of wait and see.
Yeah, it is wait and see for sure, because with all the changes going on with the Giants, with the new coach and having a new quarterback now and everything, you don't know what that really is going to mean as far as the crowd. And if there are a whole bunch of tickets available, at reasonable prices, it's a pretty big city called New York that probably houses a lot of Packer fans, and maybe they're going to start scarfing up the tickets and say, "Hey, let's take the ride to Jersey and check out our ball club."
Go check it out. Cheer on the Packers. Actually, to be honest with you, this year there's been a lot of nice road venues
no
for
doubt.
the Packers. Pittsburgh, Arizona. The Packers have definitely felt the love. Even Cleveland. Cleveland, I thought the Browns fans actually showed out really well.
Yeah, they
considering
did.
how they were playing.
Yep.
But a good, healthy contingent of Packer fans as well.
Yep.
Okay, questions keep rolling in here. This one is on X from Bob Ross. I love your work. Which currently injured player will have the most impact on the team when they return? Reed, Lucas Van Ness, someone else?
I would have to say Jaden Reed, and that's nothing against Lucas Van Ness, but it's because the defense has been playing pretty well without him. I think his return could definitely be a nice addition, no doubt about that. But with where the struggles are on offense right now, and I do think the Packers are going to get this offense going eventually, but then you inject a player like Jaden Reed into that mix for the stretch run here, I think he could really make a difference.
I think one thing that is highly underrated that it seems like nobody is bringing up is the fact that Jaden Reed was the Packers' leading receiver the past 2 seasons.
The past 2 years, yeah.
He's been in the league for 2 years. Both years he was the Packers' leading receiver. Now, he might not have had that 18,000-yard season that everybody wants or whatever, but when you talk about a guy that was a key contributor to this thing, and also when you're talking first downs, moving the chains, he became a very reliable target for Jordan Love.
Yeah, what I think really stood out to me about Jaden Reed's game, his first 2 seasons with Green Bay, is he could be the deep downfield threat, and we've seen him make those kind of plays, but he can also be a yards after the catch receiver in the intermediate areas as well. I think Matthew Golden can become that exact same player as well as he gets incorporated. Hopefully he gets healthier and all of that right now. But Jaden Reed is that guy. You can send him down the field, or you can send him in the intermediate area and try to get him some space. I think he could really make a difference for the Packers down the stretch.
Facebook, Bob Sarver. Are you concerned that the Giants won't have to respect the downfield pass game because of all the O-line injuries? One thing, I'm glad Bob mentioned this because I mentioned it on Twitter. It also was like in the 10th paragraph of my story that I wrote on the injury report. Aaron Banks didn't practice today, but as we found out afterwards, that was a veteran rest move. That was actually something the Packers decided to do to give him a little bit more of a breather going into Sunday, the Packers starting left guard. Yes, you lost Elton Jenkins, but now Sean Ryan, who's played a lot of football and has been kind of repping that center position for years now, he is your starting center. It's not to say the Packers are healthy on the offensive line. If you ask Zach Tom, I'm guessing he's going to tell you he's not overly healthy right now, but they do have the quote-unquote preferred starting 5 available. And regardless of how the Giants want to approach it defensively, this is a Giants defense that has struggled at times this season, particularly against the run.
Yep.
I think this is something where both sides really cannot take anything for granted.
No, I agree entirely. I mean, I don't see the Packers abandoning the downfield passing game by any means. The way the Giants have struggled to stop the run, you can open up opportunities in the downfield passing game by pounding the run at them and being successful in that regard. But to the point of the question, even with Kayvon Thibodeau out of the lineup, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, the Giants still have a lot of guys that can get after the quarterback, and that's definitely something the Packers will have to keep in mind. I've been saying all week the best pass protection for Jordan Love in this game will be the running game with Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson.
A couple more minutes. I almost sneezed there, but I held off because I'm tough. A couple more minutes here with Mike Spofford and myself. Wes Hodkiewicz, Packers preview brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. We're going to be answering your questions. Feel free to submit those. If you have any more, we'll try to get them in. That's Facebook, YouTube, and X. Still trying not to sneeze. I don't know. It'd be the most annoying, embarrassing thing to sneeze on camera. And there's no way for you to avoid it. You would just be in the containment zone there.
Yep.
I think I'm going to be okay, though. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to ask this really quick so then I can stop talking. Actually, you know what? I'm going to answer this one first. We don't typically do 2 questions on here because there's usually enough, and there's still plenty more to get to, but I like this question from Ben Swanson, so we're going back to another Ben Swanson question.
Okay.
Winston also has had really good games against us. That's a salient point to raise.
Yes.
If you look at his actual passer rating, his career percentage, he's had good games. I think our defense is different, though, which is also a great point to make. I made it on Unscripted Thursday. The question is, how do we force INT Winston rather than the few hundred yards in TDs Winston?
Yeah, I mean, it starts, of course, with just getting the Giants into some difficult third down situations. And you couple that with the fact that if the offense can get going and get points on the board and get a lead, then the Giants can't do what the Eagles did on 3rd and long, which was just, okay, the Packers aren't scoring on offense. We have a small lead. We'll just hand the ball off on 3rd and 12 and punt and play defense. Well, if you have a 7 or a 10-point lead on the opponent, they can't just hand the ball off on 3rd and 12. They have to try to make a play. And that's when you can maybe get Jameis Winston to take a chance, to take a risk that then you can capitalize on.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point to raise. And it'll tie into when I eventually ask you about keys to victory, but you're going to get a couple chances from Jameis Winston. We just know you will. The Packers defense will. In those instances, do you take the ball away? How do you capitalize on it? That is ultimately the question the Packers defense is going to have to answer.
If he throws you the ball, you got to catch it.
A couple more questions. This one is Gilly Gang again on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, Gilly. Week 11 of Wesley to Weston. How do you guys feel about Evan Williams' play this year? And it seems like the league is starting to notice too. What a steal of a draft pick. Also, favorite Mac Miller tune. That second half is an extremely easy answer for me, Gilly Gang. That would be 2009, which not only is one of my favorite Mac Miller tunes, it's one of my favorite songs, period. Excellent, reflective. And then obviously we lost Mac in 2018, so then there's that aspect of it too. Fantastic song.
Okay.
So respect to that. I won't even try to ask what your favorite Mac Miller song is. Why don't you talk about Evan Williams a little bit?
Yeah, well, Evan Williams, we saw last Monday night, it was just a few nights ago, he had an impact in the running game, the run defense, I think, at a different level than we've seen in other games. He was triggering, as they say, the aggressiveness coming up from the back end to get involved there. As far as the passing game, and I feel like I've said this, on multiple occasions, he is very often in the right position to make the plays on the ball down the field, and he's had so many of those, whether you want to call them 50-50 balls or contested catches, whatever, that he's been so close and he just hasn't quite been able to make the play. And all you can do as a player is to just keep after it and to continue to be in the right position. It's not about being overly critical that you're doing anything wrong. It's just, sometimes it's like things happen. They happen fast. He is right there, and he's going to start making those plays. And maybe one of them comes against Jameis Winston this week.
Last three questions. Riva Marie Ames. Why hasn't Matthew Golden gotten more passes to him? One, I believe it's Riva, R-E-V-A. Riva. Matthew Golden, unfortunately, last week out with the shoulder. See if he'll be back this week.
And he missed the second half, I believe, of the Carolina game.
Absolutely.
So he's been out for a game and a half now.
I think the opportunities are coming.
Yeah.
I think he's shown the strong hand catches. We've seen some very big explosive plays. I think the guy has been a toothpick away from a touchdown already numerous times this season, whether it was close in the red zone or even some explosive plays downfield. Matthew Golden's time is coming, and I've never felt more confident and sure about somebody's development, if he stays healthy, that he's going to be a playmaker than what we've seen from Matthew Golden.
Yeah, and here's the other thing I'll throw into the mix. We just saw Christian Watson come back a few weeks ago against Pittsburgh, right? And I just said Matthew Golden has missed the last game and a half with his injury. We haven't seen a whole lot of Green Bay Packers passing game with both Christian Watson and Matthew Golden on the field together. Hopefully that is something that can start to develop. And then I think we will see what Matthew Golden can do.
It's kind of like the new Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. If we can get those two elements together.
Get them together.
What might be possible.
Yep, no doubt.
All right, this question was from Ian, E-E-A-N, McElroy. Who's a player on the defensive side of the ball, besides Micah Parsons, that's been an impact player this year? So maybe someone that you didn't expect to be an impact player this year. Obviously, probably Micah Parsons is the biggest example of that because until August 26th or whatever, I didn't know he was going to be a Green Bay Packer.
Yeah. If I were to say as far as, if you're talking about kind of an under the radar like impact guy, I think my vote at this point of the season goes to Colby Wooden up front. We saw throughout training camp, we talked about it, it was like we were talking about it on the sideline almost every day. Colby Wooden's having his best training camp, his best preseason in his 3 years with the Packers. Is that going to translate to impact in Hafley's defense on game day? And it has. We've seen that. And so I think Devontae Wyatt, when he's been healthy, has done what has been expected. I think Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper as a pair, when we talk about, guys being on the field together, I think those two guys as a pair have done very much, what's been expected. They've been high impact players. I don't know if, certainly before training camp started, if any of us were going to say Colby Wooden will be an integral player in this defense, and he has helped to, more than anything, sort of stem the tide of the loss of Kenny Clark.
Yeah, and it's the funniest thing in the world to me. I mean, we said after the Carolina game that it's never about one player, but man, the run defense looked a lot different when Colby Wooden was back against Saquon Barkley. The middle of that defense looked a lot different. And the other thing I love about it, there was so much that I said in the weeks after the trade of Kenny Clark. I'm like, well, the Packers don't make that trade if they don't feel good about Devontae Wyatt and where he's at. But honestly, and that's true, there was another point to that. And it was what Colby Wooden's been doing against the run that I think also made them feel more okay about not having Kenny in this defense.
Yep, I agree.
Pac-Man Slim Shelton, what's the situation with the RB from USC, Marshon Lloyd? There was a little bit of an update this week on that.
Yeah, I'll let you give that update because you were the one at practice that day, not me.
And I will let you give that update because I don't want to. No, I'm just kidding. No, so basically there's multiple facets to this. One, Marshon is back in Green Bay. So as Matt LaFleur had said recently, the team actually sent him out west to get some more tests, to get some more information on some of these lower body, soft tissue injuries he's been dealing with, which again, unfortunately, reared their ugly head back during training camp, back during that preseason game against Indianapolis. Okay, so we move past that. He's back. I think he looks really explosive. Again, it's just the training staff stuff on the side. He looks good. When does he get back into the football fold again is going to be a very big question. We don't know. We haven't talked to Marshon. He's on injured reserve. They're not eligible to speak at that time until the window opens for them to return. At that time, I'm sure we'll get some more answers from him on that, but it meant enough for the Packers to look into this some more. I'm telling you guys, you saw it in a very small sample size, what you and I have been saying throughout training camp. If this kid can just get on the field, he is different. He runs different. I thought the wheel route that he got hurt on, unfortunately, against the Colts showed just how different he is.
Exactly. It was a great example of the type of play that he can make that is a little bit outside the box, so to speak, right, in terms of how a running back looks on an NFL field. And, yeah, unfortunately, he got hurt again. And trust me, it's not a matter of this young man like not taking care of his body or anything. I mean, his desire, his attention to detail and all that, it's all there. He has just had a rotten string of luck. There's, and when they sent him out, to look at there's obviously been something about his body that has been working against him, that he hasn't been able to control that until you can get that information. As it has happened with Christian Watson as well, hopefully the same thing happens with Marshon Lloyd in this.
And I don't want to speak out of school, but I do remember this report. I'm sorry, I don't remember who reported it. Otherwise, I'd love to give him credit. But I think there was also somebody else this week that had said the reason they were looking into this is also might have tied back to a knee injury that he had back in college too. So there might be a continuation here of why this situation keeps kind of happening. Okay, we got to go. Good guy Mike on Twitter said, bring back backwards hat, Mike, or backward hat, Spoff. We still have not done that. Although you do have an opportunity now.
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, do it for the camera. Yeah, the Packers are winning this Sunday. Look at that. Man's got it going. Doris Pringle, good morning, Handsome and Wes. Safe travel to the Big Apple. Is it a bigger opportunity to get picks against a gunslinger QB, or a bigger danger that he isn't afraid to sling it? Also, can you ask Mike to start a new good luck tradition? Would love to see him pinch Wes's cheek. No. Okay. No good luck traditions. Well, we'll do the hat.
We did the hat today.
Do you want to tie this into the key to victory, Jameis Winston? Interceptions?
Sure.
Takeaways?
I mean,
what do the Packers got to do to win?
I mean, I think the Packers defensively have to continue to do what they're doing, which has included a takeaway in each of the last 4 games, right? Plus just by virtue of a bad bounce, a takeaway they did not get against Carolina that obviously could have flipped that game as well. The Packers defense has started to take the ball away. Jameis Winston, yes, he might go out there and throw multiple touchdowns, but he's also going to give the Packers multiple opportunities to make plays, and you've got to cash in when he does that.
And the other thing that's happened really quietly, you maybe are going to be touching on this in one last look, I don't know, haven't read it yet, but one thing that's happened really quietly, Xavier McKinney is really coming on. His last 2 games have been very impactful, I feel, and the turnovers and takeaways are just a-coming. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
It is.
Mike and I covered a ton of stuff this week on Packers.com. I wrote a story on Sean Ryan taking over for Elton Jenkins. Some unfortunate circumstances for Elton. We wish him the best, but for Sean, through adversity, there's opportunity, a huge opportunity for him to have a chance now in the starting lineup. I also wrote about Christian Watson, kind of his ramp-up period. We talk so much about the ramp-up of a guy when he's coming back from injury. It was actually really interesting to listen to him talk about the ramp-up once you are back from injury and just kind of getting reaccustomed to how your body's feeling and obviously making the plays that he's been making. Certainly you also touched on the looming threat that the Packers face with this pass rush, although it loses one of its fangs without Thibodeau out there, but still a lot of guys to take into account, a lot of first-round picks. He is Mike Spofford. I'm Wes Hodkiewicz. Thank you again for joining us on Packers Preview, brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. And until next time, enjoy the game, everyone.